In our last lesson, we ended up at section point 4.2, page 253, where we were covering the main working areas and their correct sizes and heights. We covered the principles of planning working areas, and we were just at the bottom. Okay, so we were looking at the work centers in a food production area. Work centers in a food production area. Table 15.6 on the next page describe the work centers in a food production area. Okay, so let's look at the work center. I will just scroll up. Okay, so the work centers that we have the planning work center, we have the production work center, and we have the quality control work center, and we have the packaging. So we have 4 work centers in the food production area: planning, production, quality control. Oh my goodness, now I just jumped pages. Let me go back. Yes, so we have planning, production area, we have the packaging, and the quality control. Packaging is the last one. So please know those work centers that are in the food production area. And now this side, they are describing each work center. So on the planning work center, they say this center is used for planning things like receipts. Let me take this up a bit. So this is used for planning things like receipts, shopping lists, flow charts, and time schedules, and for keeping records of purchases and sales. A planning center is finished with a desk, chair, computer, telephone, and message board. Then we look at the production work center. This area is divided into centers to accommodate different tasks. Okay, so production, this is where everything is happening. So we have under production work center, we have food storage center, we have the mixing center, we have the cleaning up center, and we have the cooking center. Okay, production, we have the food storage center, we have the mixing center, we have the cleaning up center, and we have the cooking center. Food storage center, we are looking at the refrigerator, freezer, and grocery cupboard or storeroom are in this center. This center should be near to where the groceries are brought into the room. It is important to place a counter space near to this area for placing bags of groceries before storage. And the mixing center, most work takes place in this area. It is usually placed between the storage area and the cleanup area. Store equipment and utensils used for food preparation within easy reach and provide enough counter space for all activities taking place in this area. And then we have the cleaning up center. The center has one or more sinks, okay, that can be used for food preparation, such as cleaning vegetables and washing dishes. Place counter space on both sides of the sink so that dirty dishes can be stacked on the one side and clean dishes on the other side. And then the last one is the cooking center. This area houses stove and sometimes microwave oven. Place counter space on both sides of the stove. Work surfaces should be heat resistant so that hot pans and pots can be placed directly on the countertop. Place smaller appliances, pots and pans and cooking utensils within easy reach. And the quality control, use this area to inspect finished products before you pack them. Depending on the type of the product being produced, you can do quality control in the preparation area or in the packaging area. And then the last one is the packaging work center. This area requires a large table or work surface and storage facilities for packaging materials. So these are the work centers in the food production area. Is it food production area? Yes, food production area. There are 4 of them, but remember production is divided into other 4 smaller sections. The sizes and heights of work surfaces in the food preparation area. They say, as you saw when you learned about economics in chapter 13, we haven't covered this. It is essential that work surfaces are the correct height to avoid injuries related to poor posture or poor standing or positioning. The height of the elbow and the nature of the task to be performed determine the height of the work surface. The shoulders should neither be lifted nor stooped while you work. This unnatural position causes static muscle contraction, which is painful and fatiguing. The standard height of work surfaces is 850 to 900 millimeters. For heavy manual work such as rolling and kneading, the work surface should be 700 to 850 millimeters high. This measurement is close to the standard of height of the table. So you can work at the table or on a pull-out counter as an alternative. For seated work such as planning and record keeping, the surface should be the correct height and allow for comfortable leg movement. Okay, so you see different work areas. This is the mixing, this is writing, this is also writing, this is stirring and beating, and this is rolling and kneading. Different height positions. And they say figure 15.1, it's work surface heights in the food preparation area. Okay, so they give you the different heights. You can use that as the guideline. So now we look at the work triangle. The work triangle offers the most efficient layout for the workspace. The triangle is formed by drawing imaginary lines to connect the main work center. So you can see we have the sink, we have the stove, and we have the refrigerator. This is the storage center. This is this is the storage center, this is the cleanup center, and this is the stove fall under what? I need to remind myself. Oh, it's the cooking center. Okay, it's the cooking center. I forgot that one. So we see our work triangle there. It has got the cleanup center, the storage center, and the cooking center. All these three fall under the production work center. The size and shape of the work area determine the size of the triangle. The triangle should not be too large to cause unnecessary walking or too small to make the workspace cramped. In the food preparation area, the ideal position of the sink is between the stove and the refrigerator. So it's the sink, its stove, its refrigerator. There should be enough counter space next to the major appliances. If possible, traffic through the work area should not cross the work triangle. Okay. The work centers in a textile production area. We are done with the food now. We are looking at the textile production area. The main working areas in the textile production area are planning center, production area, and finishing and quality control area. So what is quality control? Quality control is the process of assessing an item against a set criteria or specification. Now let's look at the work centers in a textile production area. We have the planning, we have the production like last time. But the planning here is used for planning patterns and style variation, shopping list, flow charts, and time schedule, and for keeping record of purchases and sales. It has a desk, computer, chair, cell phone, and message board, same as food preparation area. Now we come to production. Production here, it's different. We have layout, cutting, and marking area. A comfortable height for cutting surface at least is 900 millimeter. Dining table and desk are 730 to 750 millimeters high, which is too low for cutting. The cutting surface should be at least 1800 millimeter long so that all the pattern pieces can be laid out at the same time. The surface should be wide enough to accommodate the width of the fabric and allow for easy reaching. If the surface is against the wall and you can cut only from one side, a width of 900 meter should be sufficient. If the surface can be reached from both sides, it should not be wider than 1500 meter. What is important here is that the production area has got layout, cutting, and marking center. It has got the sewing area where you sew, and it has got the pressing area where the ironing board should be close to the sewing machine. Okay, and here for the sewing area, you will have your sewing machines here. Okay, and the third work center is finishing and quality control. Okay, the item you are making is finished off in this area. Buttons are sewn on, hand stitching is done where necessary, and rivels and threads are neatly cut off. Okay, a final check will ensure that there are no flaws or mistake in the item. At home or in small business enterprise, the cutting area is usually used as a finishing area as well. So in this one, we have 3 work centers. It's planning, it's production, and it's finishing and quality control. And then under production, we've got layout, cutting, cutting and marking area. We have the sewing area, and we have the pressing area. They give us the dimensions and example. Now, how do we arrange a sewing area? You should arrange a sewing area so that the work flows in a logical sequence from cutting to sewing to pressing to finishing. A U-shaped arrangement works well for a sewing area. Okay, a triangle is for the food production, and the U-shape is for the sewing area. Place the work surface near the sewing machine for placing tools, supplies, and parts of the items you are making. If units are passed from one worker to the next, it is handy to have boxes on legs. As one worker deposits a unit into a box, the next worker takes it to the next step in construction. Check the sewing area's layout against the following criteria. Well, the layout ensure comfortable workflow. Are the tables for the sewing machine and the ironing board near plug points? Has the minimum space for comfortable movement been allowed for? And has the circulation of traffic to and from the sewing area being considered? And then let's look into detail on storage equipment and other resources. Okay, storage equipment and other resources. Apply planning principles to the storage areas of your production centers. Keep in mind that items should be stored according to how often they are used, where they are first used, together if they are used together, where they are easy to see, to reach, and to replace, especially if they are used frequently, at convenient height for people using them. Okay, and then in the food production area, you must store all mixing equipment at the preparation area. Store groceries in the pantry, storeroom, cupboard, or close to the refrigerator in which you keep perishable food. Keep small utensils and equipment drawers or shelves next to or above the area in which they are most often used. Keep stock in a lock-up cupboard or pantry to prevent it from disappearing. In the sewing area, store all the cutting equipment and patterns in the cutting area. Store sewing equipment and sewing thread close to the machine. Store pressing equipment in the pressing area. Plan for general storage area in which you keep stock such as interfacing, elastic, sewing thread, board in bulk, and fabrics. Keep small utensils and equipment drawers or shelves next to or above the area in which they are most often used. Use a lockup cupboard or storeroom for keeping stock. That's how you control your storage. Now, how do we plan workflow? They say planning workflow involves identifying the different processes involving in making an item and planning a logical sequence or workflow. To plan workflow, ask the following questions. What are the processes or steps in production? This involves breaking down the production process into smaller tasks. In what order should you carry out these processes? How long does each process take? How many items will the process make? What are the critical inspection points for quality control? You can use a flowchart to plan a workflow. A flowchart, okay, let us describe a flowchart first. A flowchart is a diagram that describes the input, throughput, and the output of a production system. A flowchart is a diagram that describes the input, throughput, and the output of a production system. Can I scroll a little bit? This is the input, this is the throughput, and this is the output. So they say a flowchart helps to organize all the steps in the production process into logical order. It also helps to plan the work scheme so that each team member knows what to do when. It ensures the efficient use of time and highlights critical points at which quality checks need to be done. And this figure shows a flowchart: input, everything that goes into the system, planning, materials, labor, and the process, which is the throughput, all the steps required to produce the product, and the output is the product. Okay. And figure 15.7, they say they give us two examples of flowchart that plan workflow. Okay, this is for the food production area. This is for the textile production area. Okay, so this is the flow charts that you can go through. For example, make the meat patties, prepare the other fillings, onion, tomato, lettuce, and cheese, cut the butter, bread rolls, add the filling meat and meat, add the filling and meat patties, and then package the hamburgers. So this is a planning workflow for hamburger. Okay, and then the next one is the workflow for a production of a t-shirt. Let's go through it and see. My goodness, where was I? Just give me a second. So I was on this last page. So you stitch the shoulder seams, you stitch the sleeves, you apply the neck trim, you stitch the sides seams, you sew the hem, and you sew the sleeves hem, and you do the quality control check and finishing off, and you package the t-shirt. So these are examples of the workflow, okay, that you can use for planning. And this brings us to the end of chapter number 11. And yeah, this brings us to the end of chapter number 15 on entrepreneurship and planning for small scale production. And we are looking at two types of production, which is food production and textile production. Okay.